I'm biased about the accounting intern this summer. It was my son, so I would probably be give him a harder grade than I would others, but he got an A on his cost accounting exam because he said a lot of the stuff I use this summer really helps me understand how costs are broken out from inventory and back to jobs and back to inventory and how things are shared and overhead and profit. I'm like, yeah, that's why we do these things. So that's cool.
He's got his eyes on the prize. He's coming in. He's going to be the money man, isn't he?
Well, let's see how it goes. Again, I'm a tough grader. We'll see.
Welcome to People Make Roofing, a call to action led by Roofing Talent America and RoofersCoffeeShop.com. We're tackling the industry's biggest challenges, from outdated misconceptions to the widening skills gap. Our mission? To show the next generation the true potential of roofing, including the diverse opportunities, endless growth possibilities, and a chance to make a lasting impact. Join us as we share unfiltered stories from the industry professionals across North America, inspiring and guiding the future of roofing.
Hello, this is People Make Roofing. I am your co-host, Luke McCormack, CEO of Roofing Talent America.
And I'm Heidi Ellsworth, CEO and president of the coffee shops, including Roofers Coffee Shop. And we are so excited to have our dear friend, Brad Sutter, on People Make Roofing today. I'm so excited about this. Brad, welcome to People Make Roofing.
Good morning. And thank you all for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
So great. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about your company?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Brad Sutter. I am the president of Sutter Roofing Company of Florida. This is our 123rd year in business. I'm a fourth generation family, one of the owners of the company now. The company was started in West Virginia by my great grandfather in 1902, and the company has grown and evolved, and we've been in Florida for about 45 years now. And we continue to, commercial roofing and sheet metal is our thing. We have a big maintenance component too, as you can expect with Florida and the weather we have down here. It's critical. But again, I'm the fourth generation. Very proud to be in the roofing industry. I'm past president of Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Contractors Association. I've been on the board for NRCA and the executive board for NRCA. So I've been involved at the regional and the national level in our associations, and it's been a huge benefit to me in my career just to have a ton of contacts. I've learned so much from people around the industry, and that's why I think shows, podcasts, information like this, for any forum that we have to get together and share information, it's important and it's beneficial to the industry.
Well, Brad, we appreciate you giving back and joining, and our goal is to share your voice far and wide, so that we can impact people within the industry, but also people out west to join us in roofing. And Brad, when I joined the American roofing industry, I knew the Sutter brand, see it everywhere, hard to miss it. But I would love to start with a story. If you could tell us, where did Sutter begin, and maybe wind your story into that, to where you joined the industry to get to where we are now. I'd love to get that overview. And yeah.
I mean, I think that really it starts with my dad making the move from West Virginia to Florida. We had an office down here, and it was doing pretty well. And one of our big customers down here really wanted a more local presence. And my dad is the one who came down here and really kind of bootstrapped this operation from really just himself in an office that he borrowed from a friend he knew in high school, to building it to where we have, where we are now with almost 300 employees and 4 offices over the last 45 years. I feel like it's, a pretty good story. Excuse me. So
and what's your story? How did you get involved?
Well, I mean, I worked in the roof on the warehouse and kind of coming up through high school and college, and then sort of the rule in our family is you have to work somewhere else for a while, at least a year, to get some experience, to understand what it's like to sort of report to work, have responsibility, and build that way. I think it makes you it gives you certainly a much better understanding of your employees, being an employee, and sort of the day to day back and forth about what people talk about, what they think about. It just gives you perspective that you can't have if you step into sort of an ownership role. So over time, I've held a lot of different positions in our company. I worked in the accounting office for a while, and then when we started a dedicated service and repair business. That was where really my thing to start, and we built that business. So I did that for many years, and then as the business is bigger with more offices, you kind of elevate up to do more management and leadership and strategic planning for the company as a whole. So I think that I had a really good boots on the ground, right off the bat, kind of planning the work, estimating the work, getting the work accomplished, getting it billed. So I understand the workflows pretty well. I think that's been a really a good thing for me, in terms of just understanding the business and how those back office, all the support functions work. Because getting the work done is one pillar. Getting work done, and then getting paid and keeping score on the backside. Those are really the three areas that are critical for any contracting business, but roofing especially. Sometimes it seems like a lot of contractors are tripped up in one area or the other. They're not good at getting the work, they're not good at getting the work done, or they're not good at getting paid. And any one of those things can do you in.
Well, I'm kind of interested too, just to kind of play on your story a little bit. First of all, where did you work in that year that you were not at Sutter? And then, honestly, I think so many generational kids are like, I don't want to get back into roofing. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go do something else. So, what inspired you to come back?
So I worked in a a packaging machinery manufacturing company. They built some like some stack and sort type machines, and then they also had like a one division that did custom stuff. And I was always talking to the engineers and the technical staff about what they were building, what they were trying to do, all those things. Like, hey, what are you doing here? What's this machine do? What are you trying to build? So I think I was really curious about what it was, and they were all very seasoned engineers. I learned a ton. I really learned a ton from those guys about, and a lot of the stuff. It's really funny. One of the things is, we talk about it all the time, but a guy told me a story. One of his things was, the leopard never changes their spots, and it's about people. And that's just one of those things. We laugh about that frequently, where somebody, people come back to being more of themselves. It's like, man, the leopard never changes their spots. So it's just something I learned a lot. And then, coming back, I just, I liked the idea of our family business. I knew that there was opportunity. My older brother, was already working in the business and in the operations side, mainly with the production, larger type jobs. And so I was coming in and working mainly in the back office support. And then when we decided that we were going to start the maintenance division, that gave us a nice 1-2 balance where we weren't we each had our own responsibilities, and it was a good way of dividing it and a good way to push the business forward and have somebody kind of moving each of those things forward. And it worked out. It turned out really well for us.
That's so interesting. You must have seen so much, been through so much in that time. And Brad, the title of this campaign is "People Make Roofing," and I feel like people is a massive buzzword in the industry right now, with people leaving, elevated competition, companies coming in to aggressively grow companies. The people equation is something that you've had to solve to grow and sort of retain where you are, and young people seems to be what the industry is crying out for the most. It'd be good to get your views on that. Why are young people not joining? Why should they join? And what is it that you guys are putting in place to find them, to retain them, and ultimately to grow them into your leaders of tomorrow?
I think I totally agree. People and trying to having a capable staff is the only way companies can be successful. But once you start talking about people, then you start talking about specific companies. And then what you really are getting into is the culture of the company, right? How do they operate? What are the principles they operate on? And I think, like you say, you have some of the recent influx of private equity, people like that. And it's all about growth. It's all about sales and, dollars and putting those things. And that's fine. I have no issue with that type of model, but it attracts one type of person, and that motivation for that person may be trying to push sales. It may be trying to maximize a commission. It may be that I don't know. Everyone's motivated by different things. But when you talk about a culture of a lot of the family-owned firms that I'm familiar with around the country, the culture and how they operate, how they treat people, how they treat customers. Those are very important pieces of culture, and a lot of that's the foundation of how they go to market with their company, how they attract people. But it's also a key retention of why people stay, right? If they are continually, if they see that the company is continually on the same track with culture, with values, with what you're all about, with your vision, like those, if those things are consistent, it may never be perfectly in alignment, but if they're consistent and you're always moving down that track in that same direction, I think you get a lot of you have a lot of commitment and buy-in from people. And when you have that culture, people feel it when they come on board, and then it's much easier to protect it, cultivate it, and keep on trying to perpetuate it. Um, you know, again, I'm not some of the other people, whatever other types of companies, they just have different motivations, and trying to do your very best for your customers and provide the best solutions. That resonates with people, and I think in my recent experience, it resonates very well with the younger generation, right? Pursuing pursuing excellence and trying to pursue really, really high quality type of systems and customers. You know, there's a certain mindset of young people that like to be challenged, and that's what it's all about. Challenging. Excuse me. That
And I think, Brad, I love that because I think there is a lot of change, and we're going to see this happen even at a faster pace going into the future of what we're looking for in some of the recruits into roofing. And so I kind of want to go back to what you were talking about in your roots with service and maintenance, because I think that is such a key point that when you're hiring service and maintenance personnel for the roof, you're really hiring technicians. It's a different, it's a difference in what you are looking for. And I know there's a lot of companies that will put older, more experienced roofing professionals with younger, more technology savvy folks coming in, and then they have to go and inspect all these roofs. They have to interact with the building owners. They obviously have to do repairs or whatever they see. So talk a little bit about the potential for young people coming out of vocational schools or out of high school, who can just go into kind of this more, I don't know, high tech kind of position.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that in our own business. I think that talking to our vice president of service, some of our top field techs that do a lot of maintenance for bigger type of outfits, national maintenance and national brands, things like that. I think they have 15 or 16 different apps, because the use. So it really is a technology driven, technology sensitive position. What we've found is that the first thing is we just try not to we, we don't limit ourselves or our thinking about people and young people and what they might want to do, right? Just because they may not have a construction background, they may have a fit here, right? They may have worked in an ancillary field, some other type of something outdoors, something that is maybe related to this. And you never know. One of the things that I try to stress all the time is You will never know what someone's aspirations are until you start asking those questions and try to see what they see as their own path. I think we've done a good job of cultivating some of that. I know we have for a lot of our younger workers by finding out what their strong suit is, what their aptitude for technology is. And yes, in some cases we've placed them with somebody that might be more experienced in the technical issues of roofing, and that's worked out well. But we want them to see that there is room for advancement for them too, and that's an important factor.
And see, just going back to what you said about the culture piece, it's interesting, Brad, because everyone that Heidi and I interview is successful people that have been in roofing for a long time. They always speak about culture, and from the Dan Tinkers, Reed Ribble, Steve Littles. It's all about culture. And you mentioned private equity there, and the thing with people and culture is that it's not something that's on a P&L, but it's something that drives every aspect of it. And I think that aspect often gets overlooked when someone's valuing a company or trying to grow a company. And the question that I always come back to is like, how do you define your culture? How do you recruit on your culture? Like, how do you actually do that? And over 100 years that Sutter's grown, you've defined who you are, what you stand for, what your culture is, and that's the lens that you've used to recruit. But the reason that I want to go back to this is, I seen on private equity, I seen a stat, and it was 70% of deals fail. And McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte, everyone says that the issue was always people centric, and it was always related to culture. And when there's new owners coming in, I can see it would be all over the place. But I'm really keen to hear, like, how do you actually define the culture and execute the culture, and with senior leadership aging out of the business and a legacy business to continue, how do you ensure the culture is actually baked in to the system of the business? I'm 10 years into my own business, a very young business compared to you guys, and I'm super interested in it. So when I get the chance to learn from someone like you,
Yeah, we talk about it pretty frequently and openly. That's one thing with our senior staff. Like, and it's not, like I said, it's not always perfect. It kind of flows back and forth into alignment, everyone thinking alike, and then kind of come. Sometimes you have to shepherd the herd back to where on the right track again, right? You have to continually work at it. Culture can't be built in a day. It can be reinforced every day, right? And it can be ruined in a quick amount of time. One of the things that we we talk about internally, we publish our core values. We talk about what's important here, right? And we talk about it from the bottom to the top. This is what's important at this company, and we reinforce that, and we talk about why that's important and what we're trying to achieve, and it's really, we start at the very basic level from foreman, even in our safety meetings, when we talk about recruiting and what opportunities are here at the company, and when we tell them we are hiring, if you know somebody that you think would fit with what we do here, please refer them, right? Not what people that you don't think would fit, or you're just trying to bring somebody in. We have a referral bonus program, so you know, just trying to get the referral, they're not going to cut it. They just don't, they can't do what we do here. They're not safety focused, right? They don't like showing up for work. That, it's a little too steady of a job. I've seen, like you said, I've seen everything over the years. I've seen maybe I've just hung around too long, but you see really positive situations, and you see some negative situations. You see people that, when given an opportunity, excel in ways that you could never have believed. And then you see, on the flip side, you see people that have monumental skills and that they can pass along, but it's just not in their makeup to do that. And they fade away instead of building on their own strengths by developing 5, 10, 12 people underneath them. And you get, it's disappointing. So all those things happen on the spectrum. Back to culture, though, like I said, it's just something that has to be reinforced daily of what's important and what your core principles are and what's non-negotiable. And the quality of our work has always been the shining star for us is really doing good roofing work, choosing good systems, the right systems, installing them correctly. It's just it's the if you we always talk about no matter what the economic cycle is, up, down, whatever, if we're putting good roofs on and doing good work, we're going to be okay, right? Because we have those core competencies. We'll be okay. That's our North Star. We just keep putting roofs on, doing work the right way. We'll be okay.
And that is really it right there, Brad. I mean, that is so important, is that quality of work and just steadiness. I love how you said, some people don't like that steady of a job, but to have that steadiness. And you have been, like you said earlier, president of the FRSA. You are on the executive. You and I sit on a number of committees together for NRCA. So I would just love for you to kind of talk to the parents out there, right? So we know you and I have been involved with Skills USA. We've been seeing everything out there, but really talking to the parents out there about the benefits of a career in roofing. You obviously are incredibly successful, your company, your family. Why should parents really look at this and listen to their kids when they are like, I don't want to do college. I want to work with my hands, or I want to, work more technology or robotics, or, just kind of really listening to what they want to do and then encouraging them into these great career paths like roofing.
And I think for a long time it's getting much better. First of all, the information that's out there, not only roofing but trades in general, have done a much better job about getting the word out that hey, these are very viable careers, long term. A lot of technology basis. They talk about STEM. Everything we do in construction is STEM: science, technology, engineering, math. Everything that we do in construction is all of that. So for a long time that was disconnected. They're bringing it back together now, I think, and that's important. But these parents are starting to understand like this is real money, and when you're looking at somebody look, so at some point you have to have a frank discussion and a real discussion about look, you're barely cutting it at the high school level, right? But you have a job that you like. You're a good worker, right? You like to work. You like making money, but the school thing might not be great for you, right? Maybe you could think about being in a trade or doing something with your hands. That's what you like doing anyway. But I think just the understanding that it's not a dead end. You might work three or four positions over a number of years, but you could easily become a supervisor. You can easily learn the core basics of, and again, I think of it in terms of roofing, but I think of sheet metal, I think of distribution, I think of all the different ways that this industry and the different touch points with customers, customer service, and whether you start with a company like us in the field and you learn roofing, well, then you could progress to becoming a roof inspector. You could progress to becoming a service tech. You could become a service, a safety person. You have all these different things, that different angles that you could pursue. You could become a sheet metal shop person if that's what you like doing. You're still working with the computer, and all the machinery now is computer based machinery. So those things are all there. I mean, whether it's distribution, you might work on the roof for a little while. You might drive a truck, but you can move to the front office. You can move to being frontline customer service if that's what you like. I mean, they're if you're willing to put in just, and it doesn't have to be a ton of time, but you do have to learn, and you learn a lot of different skills. And I don't know. I talk to tons of people all over, and it's not just in roofing. Like, they find out I'm in roofing. They're like, oh man, I spent a summer in high school or a summer in college roofing with my uncle. I roofed with a couple buddies after college. We did. It was tough work. It was great. Made great money. Enjoyed it. Right. But they almost always are like, man, we had a lot of fun. We laughed, and it was tough work, but I made great money. I went and I ended up buying the company. I came back to it. I went to something else. I went and did something, and I came back because that what I did was not ever as fun as what roofing and helping people and doing those things. And those are the stories that that I think are lost. There are other things that are great line. They're great, vocations for some people, but it's like we all know once you're in roofing, it's very difficult to come out of it because it's just changes every single day, and the challenges are there. And I talk to people about that frequently. Just if you like going and sitting at a desk and that's your thing, that's okay. But that's not what we do, right? It's like our job's crazy. We have weather, we have hurricanes, we have hailstorms, we have all this stuff that happens that impacts our business that people don't worry about, right? I'm like, at some point in the next life, I'm coming back in a job where I don't care about the weather.
I don't know. I think you're going to come back to roofing.
Probably,
It's for life and every life after.
yeah, yeah. So I think that again, back to the kids. We brought on some really young talent, and one of the things that we've done is we've hired some. So and again, it's not. I'm just talking about our particular thing. It doesn't have to be this, but we've hired some college graduates that are not even construction graduates, but they're interested, right? They're interested in construction. They're interested in what we do. So we brought them in and paid them commensurate with what they would earn at any other entry level job, whether it would be whether it would be something that was a I don't know a sales job or whatever. But we've been able to get them integrated onto our team and, very quickly passing things over to them and giving them tasks. And it's amazing how much of an impact they've made upward because they bring new thinking, they bring new technology, and they say, well, why don't we just do it this way? And you look at it and you go, man, why didn't we think of that? That's just a way easier way of doing this by using or leveraging technology. And we give them projects so that that's maybe an odd, not their daily piece, but hey, here's a sidebar project we want you to work on. We've brought in we've used internships the last couple of years to help us with some processes and to give some people exposure. And it helps us not only with the projects they're working on, but it gives us feedback on our company. What did you think about working here? What are things that you wish we would have told you when you were coming to work with us? What could we do better on day one to help you understand the work you're going to be doing? Like those are questions like we're trying to learn about our business. So, like to your point, Luke, is just to your point. We need to know more about how to onboard, how the retention. Like those are things that help drive success, drive culture, and make us better, right? So that we are more likely to be able to retain those people. We have to learn more about where those gaps are and what young people see. What I see is I don't think I'm at the end of my career, but I'm probably closer to the end than I am to the start. But I mean, the way that my generation looks at things is different than a 22 or 23-year-old. And the way they talk about things is different. And it's been helpful for us to learn how they view coming in and what our processes are, right? Is what we're doing now, does it translate well for newer workers? And those are to me really interesting conversations about. It's really about, all right, let's make the business better, right? What can we do to take another step? And like I say, it's not back to culture. You can't make it in a day, but you can reinforce it every day. You can break it in a few days, but you can't make it. So it all kind of builds with that, and again, I feel like it's a multifaceted approach of trying to. It's about the talent. It's about bringing them on. It's about bringing on new energy, getting them properly aligned with whatever it is that job is that you're trying to accomplish. It's just been, I think, bringing the younger people on and giving them a real significant responsibility and paying them a level that is maybe a little better than they might get in other industries. I think that's been really good for us, but I think also it's a little bit of an eye opener of what's possible. right? If you limit yourself, well, we can only get this type of person, or we're only going to get this is all we're ever going to get. Well, you probably are, but if you're open to some of these other things, and you have to have an open mind going to your management staff too. You have to take what these people say and what their ideas. Again, like I said, it could be something that's simple that they look at and like, that's you could just do A, B, and C and navigate that really easily. And now how many times? Oh, you just use AI for that. Well, AI doesn't have roofs on, but AI can certainly help you with billing issues. It can help you with customer campaigns. It can help you with better communication. Like there's so many things help you in the back office accounting. Like there are so many things that really you can improve with AI. And I mean, again, my generation probably not as proficient as a 23, 22, 24 year old. I mean, they're just ingrained that technology is ingrained with that generation, and they're better at it. Period. So, I think those are some recent observations that I've made with kind of more.
I love that, Brad. A lot of people think, let's not hire apprentices, trainees, because it takes so much time before you get a return on investment. And they're so wrong for the person, for the people, for the industry. And when I see someone like you that, a company like Sutter that's embracing young people, apprentices, innovation, it really is the type of company that people want to come into. I think that the internship is something that so many people overlook. And you're right, it brings such a fresh insight to the business, and AI is something that it's got to be like the .com rush by the time that's over and done with, and seeing you implement that, I also think is amazing. While we're on the subject of what you're doing, Brad, what does it actually look like? So somebody comes out of college or university or wherever you find them, they're green, they've got no experience. What would their first, for the benefit of the audience, what would their first 2 years look like? Do they have like mentors? Do they have modules they go through? Do they go through every department? Do you recruit per department, or like what actually happens to get them from zero experience to impactful player?
Yeah. So it would really depend on what position it is. Field position day one, what we like to do is certainly you want the basic training for them. You want safety. And then you move into some of the operational training, manufacturer training, some of the online tools. NRCA's track program, which is a day one starter, really important for them. And we use track even for office people too that don't have any experience roofing, just so they have some basic idea of the terminology, the things that we're talking about, so that it doesn't sound so foreign, right? That's just one of those little things that can smooth the learning curve. What, and I'll break it down a little further. When we bring on, whether it's an intern or whether it's a new employee, for interns, it's usually project related because they're here for a limited amount of time. So we try to have specific projects for them, complete A, complete B, complete C, one, two, three, whatever that time period is. So we want value coming back from that intern. We're paying them to work here, but we want value coming back. This year we had two interns. One was working in the accounting office, helping us on a labor study, so we can understand our costs better. And then we had one working in the HR department, and she was working on records and records conversion to digital records and just converting some things over. Um, but it's something that's important to us because we're moving from software systems, and she was handling sensitive employee information, and we had the intern, she had to sign an NDA because she was handling system information. So I mean, like these are things that like that's something that when that person goes back to college and university and says, well, "What'd you do?" Somewhere I worked in an HR department. I was handling sensitive employee files. I had to sign it. Like their professor says to them, "Wow, that's you did something that's not you weren't just working at a cash register. You weren't." But it's pretty cool because she asked if she could come back and work over the holidays, right? Good experience, enjoyed working. That's like that's kind of the things like, okay, cool. We're on the right track here. That's an indicator. And the accounting, I'm biased about the accounting intern this summer. It was my son, so I would probably give him a harder grade than I would others, but he got an A on his cost accounting exam because he said a lot of the stuff I use this summer really helps me understand how costs are broken out from inventory and back to jobs and back to inventory and how things are shared and overhead and profit. I'm like, yeah, that's why we do these things. So that's cool.
He's got his eyes on the prize. He's coming in. He's going to be the money man, isn't he?
Well, let's see how it goes. Yeah, I'm a tough grader. We'll see. But like I think, and then just generally, some of the new people, anybody that we bring on, we try to have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So what are they gonna be exposed to in the first 30 days, and what do you expect the takeaways after 30 days? What's the skill set there? 60 days, where should they be after 60 days? What should they be proficient at? 90 days, what do you want them to be able to handle? Like those are just sort of good. That helps us continue to say, all right, are we on the right track? Are we bringing people on the right way? Are they progressing according to plan? Right? If they come in here and here's your desk and here's a computer, now get to work. That's what I got.
Yeah, me too.
So I mean, it's like get to work. Let's go do.
Go figure it out.
And yeah, go figure it out. Go do. And we just need to we have to be better than that.
Well, and I think that's what gets people, that's what recruits them in, because they see systems and processes, they see an amazing culture, and then they're working for this great company, and that the word spreads and more people want to be involved. So Brad, I just thank you so much. You are so full of wisdom, and to look at the longevity of your family business, fourth generation. Now your son's, now does that count your son? He's going to be fifth generation.
Well, my two nephews are in the business now, so my brother's two sons are in the business, so that's fifth. And I don't know, we've got some others lingering around the edges. We'll see what shakes out.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
I've really enjoyed the conversation, Heidi and Luke. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's always good to talk about our industry and our successes and how good the people in the industry are. And I wish you guys all the success of with the podcast and having great guests and good content. So Luke, look forward to meeting up with you in the States here sometime. Or I'm happy to come to Scotland too.
I'll get the whiskey and I'll get the golf carts, Brad, and I'll send the flight.
There you go. Maybe go to a Celtic Hibs game over in.
Oh, now we're talking. Well, we've got the Celtic and Rangers 3rd of January. That's the blood sport. So those tickets are gold dust, Brad. But I'll see what I can do. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, Brad. Very insightful and great value for the audience. So thank you so much. And to have you back home, People Make Roofing coming every week. We'll be on iTunes, Spotify, LinkedIn, Roofers Coffee Shop, YouTube, Roofing Tampa America. If you know anyone that has got a worthwhile story to share, or if you want to join, reach out to me or Heidi. And thank you to you, Brad. And stay tuned for next.
Awesome. I'll be on the lookout for the content. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next People Make Roofing.
Thanks for listening to People Make Roofing. Together with Roofing Talent America and RoofersCoffeeShop.com, we hope to shape the future of our industry. Share this episode and keep the conversation going because people truly make roofing.